Okay, so in this video we're going to go over a sit for exam and a stand for exam, how I start this with somebody, or actually I start this with just me and then I'll add in a second person later when my dog's ready, but you need to start with a solid sit stay and a solid stand stay. If you don't have those, don't even attempt this part because it's going to be too much for the dog. So I'll show you with the sit what it's going to look like. So we're going to have the dog on some sort of guide. It can be a platform, it can be yoga mat, it can be PVC guides, it can be foot targets, I don't care what it is, just some sort of guide so they know where to stay. And what it's going to look like is I'm going to start in heel position with my dog because I already know their sit stay. I'm going to tell her stay, and I'm going to step in front of her. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out, yes, and touch her. Now for some dogs, going for the head is really intimidating at first. So you might actually reach out and just touch like a shoulder or something, yes. We just want them comfortable with staying in position, yes, and being touched and not having their feet move. Yes. Good. Yes. Good girl. Search. So that's how I started with the dog. Once they're comfortable with me doing it, then I do the same exact thing. Okay. Sit. But I would have somebody at a 45-degree angle, either coming from behind if my dog can handle that, or coming where they can see them, but I'm still in front of their head. And I would tell my dog stay, and I would step in front, and I would have the person approach, pet them, and then leave. Approach, pet them, and then leave. And each time I'm going to reward the dog when the person's hand is coming in so that they stay put. Sit. Stay. Absolutely not. Okay, so we'd have the dog stay. I'd step in front. Person would approach. I would say yes and pay my dog for staying put. Okay? I want attention on me. Person would leave once I've given that treat. So they would just take a step back. They would come back up. I would pay as they're approaching. Person would leave. Then they'd come up. Person would approach and reach their hand, maybe not touching the dog. And I would pay. Okay? And then they would leave. And then the next time the person would approach and they'd reach out and they'd maybe touch the dog quickly, and I would pay and then leave. So the person is just now playing ping pong, where they're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and strategically getting closer and closer to the dog till they're touching. So for the sit for the exam, they just have to be touched on their head and not move their feet. For stand for exam, stand. They have to be touched on their head, their shoulders, and their butt. And a judge would come up, you would be standing here, and you tell the dog stay. A judge would come up, touch, 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 and then they'd be back here. So you want your dog to be very comfortable with all sorts of touch, and then create that predictable pattern of what's going to happen when you're in the obedience ring for this. In rally, they won't have to be touched. In agility, they wouldn't have to be touched. In most other sports beside obedience, they're not touched unless they're doing confirmation. So just good skills to practice, but you need that solid sit, stay, and stand stay first before you add any of this extra. Because if you add a really fun person to a puppy, they're going to go crazy. So we need to build the foundations of the stay first, and then add that other person in for your stands and sits for exams. So if you have questions, let me know.